Real, relevant radio. Kingfisher FM.
Good day. You are tuned to Your Financial Journey, where planning matters. Brought to you by Risk-Free Solutions, an accredited Old Mutual Agency franchise, with Vernon DeVos and Ethan Black. The show that helps you make quality decisions and thrive. Unpack your future and make it better. Every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. right here on 107.5 FM.
Wonderful again to have Vernon DeVos from Risk-Free Solutions in studio. Vernon, you well?
Yes, very well, and good to be back in studio. Thanks, Ethan.
Yeah, we had a great chat last week talking about the costs around wrapping up your estate.
Yeah,
Lots of people asking about that. So we'll actually upload that and you can go and check it out and listen to that audio again. Thanks to Mario.
Yeah, and I think maybe at a later show we'll maybe just unpack that a bit further, because I think there's still a lot we can talk about as far as expenses within the estate goes.
Yeah.
But I've got one of my senior advisors. In fact, he's not only an advisor, he's a manager within our business. Windre Kammies back in studio. Good to have Windre here. Welcome, Windre.
Hi, Vernon.
Yeah, how's it,
Fantastic
man?
to be back now. Great, man. Thanks for having me back in the studio.
Cool.
Yeah. So Windre is going to talk about what is your greatest asset. What do you consider as your greatest asset? And I think for everybody out there, it might be different, but Windre's take on it's very interesting. And obviously, it's to do with financial planning and the importance of financial planning and the importance of putting certain things in place. So, Windre, maybe over to you.
Thanks, Ethan. Thanks, Vernon. Well, I'm going to start this afternoon with a story, as we normally do on the show. And the story is one of my clients, one of my first clients, in fact. I'm not going to divulge his name, Ethan. I'm just going to call him Mr. C for now. So C, a client of mine, and we done the normal process, Vernon, as we normally do, financial planning process. And I made certain recommendations to Mr. C. One of these recommendations was for him to secure his ability to earn an income. But unfortunately, this was not a priority for him at that stage. And this happens a lot to us as financial advisors. You guys would know that you're sitting with a client, but it's not their priority. They're not there right there. And it's our job to walk a road with him, to educate them on what's important in life with regards to financial planning. So unfortunately, like I said, it was not a priority for Mr. C to buy that product at that stage. But as life would happen, unfortunately, he developed a type of disability. So I did mention it to you once, Ethan. Mr. C developed an eye disorder where he could not perceive depth. So he didn't know if you, Vernon, were sitting a meter away from me or if you were 5 meters away from me. And this made things quite difficult because he was a driver. He was a forklift driver, and that could be quite dangerous, I
can imagine.
Yeah.
So needless to say, he was diagnosed with this disorder, and the company said, you a danger to us. And he was too old also to be retrained in a different job, So medical boarding was the only other option for this client. So, like I said, essentially his depth perception was lost, and that really affected his ability to do his job. And then he was medically boarded. Needless to say, that his inability to do his job came at a massive cost to him, his standard of living that he set for his family took a massive drop because he could no longer work. He was now at home. Fortunately for him, his wife earned a good salary, a good enough salary. So what happened was, with the bond repayment, she took over that bond repayment. So at least they didn't lose their family home. But however, he had no alternative but to use his emergency funds. He had to stop his annuities to now fund his treatment, because when he was boarded, he had no medical aid, and he had to use his savings for his treatment and his rehabilitation and so forth. And going to a government hospital was not an option for him. He said no. He will rather use his savings to fund his treatment. So that was also a bummer for Mr. C. Shame.
Can I ask?
Yes.
So, that's I would never even have thought of my eyes being a problem, and then if something happens, I think that's a very easy thing to go wrong. When someone's medically boarded, do companies then sort of cover a person? Is it general practice, or are you just left out to your own?
Yeah, so I think every company is different. I mean, as you know, some companies might have certain things in place to take care of their employees if something like that does happen. But a lot of companies don't have anything in place. So we know from the minimum requirements as far as employment goes, you've got to do the unpaid, or you've got to pay the sick leave.
Yeah.
So once the sick leave is done, it becomes very difficult, especially the financial position of a small business in particular, or a company that does not offer benefits. So the reality is, it depends which company you're working for and what they offer to their staff. So that is the reality of the situation.
So maybe a good, when you're doing this financial plan, this discussion, a good practice for a client is to say, let me find out what I have at my company.
Correct.
Yes, and I think that's what Windre did. So Windre followed that financial planning process, and that's why you advise the client from a disability point of view, you're exposed. If something does happen, there's nothing in place. So this is something we need to look at. This is an area of concern. And as Windre mentioned, maybe for the client out there thinking, okay, I know it's an area of concern, but I'll leave it for later. I'll address that issue at a later stage. And unfortunately, it didn't go according to plan, and his eyes started giving problems.
Yeah, and a lot of times affordability is also a problem, So not only a priority for the client, but from affordability aspect, it's not affordable for the client. But things,
maybe let's just stop there. So maybe I just want to say to the listeners out there, it's so important this, because affordability is a massive thing. I mean, we know things are tough. Cost of living is going up. I mean, petrol went up last night.
Electricity went up.
I mean, there's a lot involved here. But the building blocks of your financial plan should always be looked at it from this point of view. What is that? Number one, if anything should happen to you, make sure your family is taken care of. So we're talking about death. If you should die, make sure all the debt's paid and your family can at least be able to maintain a certain standard of living. Number one building block.
And you have a will.
Right. And all that goes with that. The second thing is what Windre was talking about. That ability to earn money, protect it. Ensure that ability to earn money. And I think Windre is going to talk about that now. What is your most valuable asset? Maybe you want to talk about that.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, things could have been so different, Ethan, if planning in this event could have been was a priority for this client, but unfortunately it wasn't his priority. So when we sit back and we think about insurance products, and especially disability insurance, is that a priority for us? Is that on top of the list? In some cases, not. It's some cases not a major priority.
But it should be, because it's part of the building blocks.
Yes.
Even something.
Yes. And that's why I'm asking the question, why isn't it? Why isn't planning in the ability of losing your income a priority for a lot of people, a lot of clients? And how can protecting your ability to earn an income not be important enough for you to protect?
Yeah.
Why don't we do that?
And we'll break now, but we will insure our car, but we won't think to insure our body.
Absolutely. Why? Because a car we can touch, we can look at, we can get in. It serves a purpose. It takes us from point A to point B, and we can visualize. If we don't have that car, we can't get to point A and point B. Which, I mean, it's important to have it, and it's important to insure it. But how about visualizing something different? If I'm unable to work, how will I afford what I'm currently affording?
If my physical car backs up,
100%.
I've got problems.
Yeah.
No, it's good. All right, we'll break away. Back in a moment. Risk-free solutions in studio with us this afternoon.
Hope Radio, Kingfisher FM. Your motivation station. This is Kingfisher FM.
talking about making good, sound financial decisions this afternoon. Thanks for tuning into Kingfisher FM with risk-free solutions. Windre and Windre in studio with us, giving us some insights into, I think, building context and sort of putting stories out there to help us understand what's our most valuable asset.
Correct, and I'm getting to that in a moment. So the question remains to everybody out there: how can you protect your ability to earn an income, as well as your ability to get up in the morning and enter into the workspace? How can you protect this ability? In simple terms, ability means being able to do a task or to perform a function. And the exact opposite is a disability, which means your inability to perform this task and this function, you know.
Well explained.
Yeah, and in my opinion, this is your most valuable asset, being able to work and make money. Bottom line, for me, that's the most important thing. Be able to get up in the morning, get in my car, and go to work and earn a living that I can bring money home for my family at the end of the month. For me, that's most important.
And work's not a work was there before sin entered the world. So work's not a punishment.
Of
you
course,
know?
No, work's actually a blessing.
Work is a blessing. Gives you purpose, gives you meaning, and enables you to bless others.
And maybe on that, just interesting for the listeners out there, how do you quantify what Windre has just said? So if you think about how old you are now, and you look at what your gross earnings is now, and you times that by 12, so you get a year's income, and you times that year's income by the amount of years you have to retire, and you quantify that, that'll actually give you a very good idea of what your ability is worth. Because I think you'll be very surprised to see that your ability is actually worth a heck of a lot of money if you quantify that, if you project that going forward.
Even if you're earning 10 grand.
Even if you're earning 10,000 and you put inflation into that, and you look at what that ability is actually worth, it's very interesting.
And that's, I guess, how they would work it out too. If they said to you, okay, you need this, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And carry on, Win.
So in my discussion with a lot of people, I normally ask them, you know, what's important to you? What would you consider as being your most valuable asset? And a lot of people say to me, our home. The family home, that's our biggest asset. Or they say, yo, I've got this jewelry that I bought. This jewelry is so expensive. This is my most valuable asset. Or other people will say their cars, their vehicles.
Yeah, if you're a young man, you would say, yo, that VW outside is my most
tinted windows,
valuable possession. Yeah.
Those bag wheels.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I beg to differ, Vernon and Ethan. Especially if a family home is bonded, you know, or you still have credit agreements with the jewelry and with the vehicle that you have, you know. And those things can be replaced, to be honest. But your ability to earn a living, your ability to get up every morning and go to work, can that be replaced, you know? So your ability to go into the marketplace and in essence make money needs to be insured. That's the bottom line. So a popular illustration that I often use with my clients when I speak to them is something called a money printing machine. You know, I mean, this sounds a bit far-fetched, but if you guys and the listeners can just go with me on this one. So if you maybe somehow found this money-making machine, and this money-making machine could print money for you every month. So you could decide, you can punch it in, I want X amount on the 25th, or I want X amount on the 1st or the 15th, whatever amount or whatever date that you put in the machine. Every month, this machine prints money for you. And this money wouldn't be fake money. This would be genuine, the genuine article, proper legal rand notes, you know. And wouldn't you think that this money-making or money-printing machine would be your most valuable asset? I would certainly think so. I would think so.
So what you're saying is, on the 1st of every month,
you can choose, Vernon.
Let's for this example say it's the 1st. On the 1st of every month, I go to this machine. It gives me, call it, a certain amount of money, and all of a sudden, if it does it every month on the 1st, all of a sudden my lifestyle is at this level because of this income coming in.
Yeah, and don't you want to insure that machine? Don't you want to protect that machine?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would do it. I would do it. So Vernon and Ethan, and to the listeners out there that enter the marketplace every single day, you guys are these money-making machines.
Yes. So maybe let's take it one step further. Let's make it really practical.
Okay.
Okay, let's make it practical. Let's say that money machine gives you 10,000 Rand a month. Let's just use the figure 10,000 rand. On the first of every month, that money machine gives you 10,000 rand. Now, as I mentioned, your lifestyle's at that level of earning 10,000 rand a month, and you start to think about the following. What if somebody in the neighborhood heard about my money machine?
Sure.
Or what if my kids were playing and they knocked my money machine and my money machine fell and it broke? What would happen then? So here's the deal. I go to you and I say, listen, you've got this money machine. I will insure your money machine for 10% or for 5%, let's say 5% of the value of the 10,000 rand. So you give me 500 rand every month. You give me 500 rand every month. If that machine should break, if that machine should be stolen, I will be responsible to give you your 10,000 rand every month. Ethan, I'm looking at you now. Would you do it?
I would do it.
And I think that's what you're trying to say, Windre.
Exactly.
That's what you're trying to say. Your ability
exactly.
to earn money is that money machine. And that ability to lose that ability of yours through death, through disability,
Specifically disability, yeah.
Illness
is real.
Yeah.
So take a portion of what you earn and buy insurance so that if that should happen, that you can still earn that income. That's what we're saying, isn't it?
I have a question.
Yeah. Well,
So I'm a housewife or a student. Do I qualify?
of course you do.
Yeah, obviously, when we talk about, and I think this is important, this is very important, it's a good question. So from a disability point of view, and especially in South Africa, the fact that you can get up and work and you can earn an income means you need to look at disability insurance. And we can insure that disability at the level of income that you are earning, or very close to it. If you are a housewife or you're a student, you can take out, but there are limits in place. There are limits in place because your income is not quantified. We can't quantify it. So there are limits. So the answer, as Windre so rightly said, yes, you can, but there are limits in place.
So that's why you would have the discussion and talk to a financial planner and say, okay, I'm not disqualified over here. I also stand a chance because I add value.
Of course, 100%. 100%. And I mean, the insurance companies and the law out there understands what you've just said. Therefore, they've put those limits in place. They're not just saying no.
Cool.
Yeah. So we look at two types of disability. We look at a capital disability. So in other words, an amount that we pay if something does happen, if you are permanently disabled. So in other words, you won't be able to do your employment. You are permanently disabled. We will pay out a lump sum to you, and that lump sum you would use to be able to cover all your debt and invest the balance and earn income. So that's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is the income way, where we insure your income.
Yeah.
Again, there are rules in place based on legislation of what limits you allowed, and we will look at that in the financial planning process. We would then pay you a monthly income, either for the rest of your life or until retirement. The nice thing about the income benefit, and especially the one that we look at, is that it's got built-in temporary disability. So that if something does happen and you are temporarily disabled, you could earn an income during that stage of disability till you are okay, till you're fine, and then the income would then stop, and then you would carry on working.
Cool.
So there are various aspects, and I mean, we're touching on the theme of disability and the theme of have you thought about what is your most valuable asset, and we're trying to get the listeners out there to think about that and to say, well, this is my position. Maybe it's something I should look at because I haven't thought about it. And I think the approach and the process is very important because you mentioned it earlier. Does my employer offer me any type of benefit? Because you also don't want to be buying things when you have things in place.
Of course, sir.
And if your employer is offering you some type of benefit, what's the value of it?
Yeah.
Quantify it.
Yeah.
So that I can then make a decision of what extra I need, or if I do need extra.
Yeah.
But that's the point of departure, really and truly.
Ask the question before, not after something has happened.
100%.
But if you're a business person out there, and this is maybe very important, if you're a business person out there, and there's a lot of business people out there where your business relies heavily on you as the person, and chances are you probably not part of a pension fund or a group cover. You have to provide all this for yourself. If you have not looked at this for yourself,
do it.
do it. It's very,
Even
very important.
commission earners.
Commission earners.
Do it.
Are important.
Cool. We're going to land it there. If you want to connect with Vernon or with Windre or with anyone of the team from Risk Free Solutions, give them a shout. You can go online, just punch it into Google search, Risk Free Solutions, and
Yeah,
they'll
thanks.
be happy to assist. Thanks for your time, guys, and we look forward
Awesome.
to connecting again next week. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You have been listening to Your Financial Journey, where planning matters. Brought to you by Risk Free Solutions, an accredited Old Mutual Agency franchise. Tuning weekly to the show that leads the way so that no one gets left behind. Every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. right here on 107.5 FM.
Your inspiration station. It's Kingfisher FM.